Oh, okay, great. Great. I think we should just take a few minutes for our guests. I wanted to have each one introduce themselves very briefly. And so maybe we can start with Gerd. Gerd, hi.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to join your reviews. My name is Gerd Zillner. I'm the director of the Friedrich and Lilian Kiesler Private Foundation in Vienna. And so we are housing, administrating, and researching the estate of Friedrich Kiesler, and it is a great pleasure in your interest in Kiesler's Correalism theory, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing and joining you for the reviews.
Thank you for joining. Are you in Vienna?
Actually, not in Vienna, but 2 hours car drive away. I'm on vacation, but it was a pleasure to interrupt the vacation and join you with the webinar.
Great. I don't know how close we're going to come to Kiesler's work. I think we probably digressed, but I had the opportunity, someone offered me a complete collection of all the books of Friedrich Kiesler. So I have an incredible library, everything he ever published. Someone had collected it, and a bookseller in Socrates called me and said, I have these architect books. Maybe you're interested. Of course, I'm interested. Amazing, amazing. And that's a fantastic foundation. I'm really, I follow it a lot. So it's great. It's a great work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Anthony? Are you back in New York?
Yes, I'm back in New York. Good morning or good afternoon or evening, everyone. Very happy to be here. My name's Anthony Titus. I'm a painter and an educator in architecture up in RPI, and I'm very happy to be here. I saw the mid-reviews, so I'm very excited to see the progress that's taken place over the last...
You're the main critic because you know what we were doing before, so...
Uh-oh, I better pay attention then, for real.
Yeah.
Julia?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Julia van den Hout. I'm the founder and director of Original Copy, based in Brooklyn. We produce primarily architecture books, other editorial and publication projects, and architecture exhibitions. I'm also the architecture curator at Art Omai, not too far from T-Space. And there I also direct the Art Omai architecture residency, which for us takes place the first 2 weeks of June every year. Looking forward to seeing all of the projects.
Thank you.
Great. How many fellows do you have in your program in June?
We have 10.
10. Okay, great.
Shona?
Morning, everybody. Thanks for having me here. I'm Shauna Meyer. I'm an architect, principal founder of Atelier May. We're located in Miami. Our practice is based in Miami, also faculty at University of Miami School of Architecture. Currently, I'm in Gainesville, Florida. Been working in the woods for the last week, so you can see the lovely pictures and wood paneling behind me, but very interesting about the prompt. I wasn't at the mid-reviews, obviously, but excited to see the different angles, the way that people will approach this. I guess I consider myself a little bit of a researcher and a maker, so definitely not an artist, but excited to be here.
Shona is also the author of Pamphlet Architecture 36.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
With your partner. And we also have the author of Pamphlet Architecture 37, Kari.
Right.
Yes. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm Kati Danzhang. As Irini said, I'm the most recent author of the pamphlet, so engaged with T-Space for quite a bit of two-different programming. I'm currently based in Knoxville, Tennessee, teaching at University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Also running my small practice temporary office, architects and educator, and doing a bit of work across science and technology in general.
Are you there now? Are you in Knoxville now?
I'm in Knoxville now.
What's the temperature there?
Oh, it's raining today, so it's about maybe very humid, maybe 80-ish. not super
bad,
high, but
great.
feels very hot.
Great,
Yeah.
great.
Hot.
I just want to say hi to our former residents, Yaya and Lafina, who are also here on the panel. Thank you for joining us. It's great to have you. And maybe right ahead, moving on with sharing the brief. The guests do know the brief, so we will not take too long. I just wanted to briefly maybe just read out the two quotes. If you can scroll down a little bit, Madi, here. Up right below the photograph, one quote by Carlo Rovelli: "Reality is not things, but connections. Even time exists only as a set of relations." Physical physicist, theoretical physicist Carlo Rovelli. And the second quote: "My sculptures consist of divergent chunks of matter held together yet apart, appearing like galactic structures, each part leading a life of coexistence, of co-reality with the others." And that's by Frederick Kiesler on notes on co-realism. And so we based on those ideas of co-realism, the dynamics between different sets of relationships, different readings that our residents have of this idea of correlations. We asked the residents to apply these ideas on a site. So if we scroll down a little bit further, the town of Hudson, a little bit further north of New York City, and it's a site in a quite residential historic district. If you scroll a little bit further down, just 6,000 people and a small town. And the site right here it's approximately 100 by 100 feet, 120 feet. And we're asking the residents to come up with some ideas for an educational pavilion, approximately 5,000 square feet. So the program itself is quite small, 5,000 square feet. And we can put the brief in the chat if everybody wants to take a look at it again. And I think we can get started. What do you think, Stephen?
Yes.
Yeah.
So each
Well,
person.
you too.
Right. So who's starting first?
We're going to start with Nari.
Oh, is Nathaniel here?
Nathaniel, yes.
I am here. I am here. Could you hear me? I hope.
Yes, yes, Nathaniel.
Good.
Welcome.
For some reason, something's wrong with my camera, and I'm able to see you perfectly, but I'm sorry that I can't be seen.
That's okay.
But I'm here.
As long as you can be heard. I remember
I
many years ago we had drinks down at Walker's down in Tribeca when you were just finishing the film on your father, My Architect. I think it was just on the way to coming out. And now, you know, you inspired me because I was in Cleveland at the planetarium, the big spherical space there, watching your film. And that kind of, I said, man, that is absolutely one of the amazing films.
Deep Sky.
Deep Sky. It's
Stephen,
really,
this means the world to me. Thank you so much. And
really, it's an amazing film because, well, I think we put some quotes in our brief that what you said about science and art being, you know, somehow coming together.
Yes. Well, I'm actually right now I'm at the Princeton Institute for Advanced Studies, so I get to spend a lot of time in your wonderful building there.
Oh, really?
I'm constantly socializing in the spaces that you created. So,
oh, great.
So thank you for that. It works really well.
Really, that's great.
I know telling an architect that something works isn't exactly, you know, at the level that you're actually at, but for so much architecture, it just doesn't work, apropos of today's discussion. And
Right.
Your building works so beautifully. It's in addition to being a terrific piece of architecture, it also really encourages the kinds of interactions and sort of interdisciplinary conversations between art and science that they're interested in having, and why they brought me here. So you've done something, you've inspired something in architecture that you know, that is difficult to achieve. The arts and sciences should talk to each other much more freely than they do. And science is, of course, just yet another art. so in my book.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's get started with Na Rae Han.
We'll do about 5-minute presentation and 10-15
Yes.
minutes for discussion each.
Okay.
Okay. Take it away, Nari.
Yeah, hi, my name is Nare Han, and I'm now the MArch1 student at Yale. And I'm curious that, is it the PowerPoint that
Can you get closer to the
your-
microphone? Your voice is muffled.
Yeah, okay. Can you hear me?
No, it's still a little bit muffled. If you can just pick up a little bit, Nare. We can see the screen very well.
Okay. I'm curious that, is it the PowerPoint or PDF?
It's the PDF. It looks good.
I think I have to share the PowerPoint. I already sent it to you, to the Medi.
Maddie,
Yeah,
Let me make that change.
okay.
What's wrong with it?
I don't know. Maybe she has something updated. Maybe she has something updated. Other file. Okay, let's do it.
Maybe we should start with someone else while they repair them.
We can do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You wanna go? You Gwen Mink. You wanna go? There we go. Okay.
Yeah, maybe I can start.
Yes, go ahead, Perifer. We see the screen. You just wanna go full screen. That's all.
Uh-huh.
If you can. Otherwise, I think we can keep going.
It's me, and I'm trying to figure out the full screen, but go ahead and get started.
Okay, so the next page, please. Yeah, so sense of space comes to us as an experiential language through the correlation between ourselves and the surrounding area. This project begins with the creation of a peripheral space device, focusing on how humans perceive space. So the aim is to explore what generates and informs our sense of spatial perception. Next. So when we perceive space, we recognize the distorted areas of the extended field through our peripheral vision centered on a focal point. Next. So it can be observed that objects passing through the sphere become more expanded and distorted as they move further from the focal point. Next. So using the peripheral vision area of a person's 2 eyes, I created a peripheral view device, which results in a form distinctly different from traditional perspectives. Next. This forms a mechanism for perceiving the feeling of space that surrounds us. Next. So applying this to the peripheral device, it creates various distorted spaces like that. Next. And then I have defined the correlational system of space from peripheral to focal in vision, allocentric to egocentric in perception, and public to private in society. So I aim to study various possibilities through the relationship between the linear space of the private moving toward the focal point and the peripheral space of the public expanding around the focal point. Next. So bringing this to the side, this will incorporate the color of sunlight to enhance the ambience and connection to the natural environment. Next. So I intend to introduce light, the community, into the peripheral space expanded around focal points created towards the nooks of the city that emerge between buildings. Next. This approach aims to transform these nooks into vibrant communal spaces, enriching our sense of space within the city. Next. The side plan shows a sequence where a rising green plaza connects to the street to an alley, then leads to a blue stage and a yellow stand, creating a circular experience. Next. So this space presents an enclosed curved section influenced by the peripheral vision. So in section B, the restricted entrance through the alley maximizes the stage space. while the main entrance and sectioning enhances the periphery experience. Next. So yeah, this is the final version of my project. And next. Yeah, so this is the main view of the peripheral space. So this green area is the main plaza. And next. Yeah, and this is the corridor and ramp system of this peripheral space. And next. And this is the view of the stage and the stand place. And I made some curved surface that feels like peripheral feeling of this sense of space. And next. Yeah, this is the view of the stage. And next. And this view is from the Cherry Alley. And it can see the changes of the lights inside. And next. Yeah, so this is the view of this area. And next. Yeah. Thank you.
We were muted. Sorry, Stephen, sorry.
Can you explain a little bit how you envision the garden versus the inside?
You mean the green area?
The outdoor areas.
Yeah, this is a view looking at from the south, right? The south sun would come in from this angle, correct?
Yeah, this is the view of the west side.
It's more western. Yeah, it's more southwest. And so the main street is here, and Cherry Alley would be right here.
So it's hard to understand what you imagine as, is there an enclosure? Is there a glass wall? Or is it all open air?
Yeah, I think this is the more open area, and then the blue stage area can be enclosed a little bit, but I feel this is all these connected and more open area for public.
I guess certain areas certain walls can close eventually, maybe, right, with glass.
Right, right. Can you go back? Can you go back to those inspired views that brought the model to life? Yes, there. I think these still have this kind of amazing, mysterious power that gets a little bit lost in the model. Anthony, what do you think?
Well, I think you came a long way. First, thank you for the presentation. The question, I'm glad you went to that image, because I did want to ask you about color. I mean, it seems like that plays a very important part in the process from this image to the end. So can you say something about your choice of color and what that says to your larger thesis?
First of all, I'm just inspired about the color sky when the changing of the sunlight. So I made some different versions of time zone of the color stage. So I want to express this morning sun of the more blue light, and then it changed it to the more green and yellow light, and it also changed it to the very sunset light of the orange and yellow color. So I want to make this different colors make more different programs each other. Yes.
Could you also spend a moment talking about slide 10 and what the different sort of apertures or colored lenses, you know, what their relationship, do they have a relationship out to the city, I believe you said, or, you know, to the urban context?
Yeah, actually the last one is about the elevations of each buildings, and I put some colors in the between building space. So I feel that people can see the skylight or more different environment to this little scare of the nooks of the city, urban scale. And then I made this enlarged lines like a see-through spaces to people can see the light or sky, a change of the skies through this peripheral device.
I think the negative space of the sky is the color patches that you see in yellow and green is really the color of the sky in some way, how it filters through those devices into the space. And I think you had some early experiments, Nari, introducing colored walls, right? So that now color is applied onto your building. So what we see in the final iteration goes beyond the color of light to introduce more permanent application of color.
Can you also maybe clarify whether or not this is a singular peripheral device as a final outcome, or it's kind of each of a sequence of peripheral devices?
First of all, I try to make just a one peripheral device, which you can see the green colors, the main entrance, but then I made some different three kinds of circular peripheral device that makes like different sliced windows can see through each other's and connected to each other and make more like ambient spaces each other. So yeah, that's why I decide to make this three version of peripheral device spaces.
I guess the question is whether this architecture can act as a device that distorts space, distorts the way we perceive, distorts vision or perspective in some way. So it distorts reality a little bit. And so does it achieve it in such a small area, the inclined planes, does it elongate space? Does it skew a little bit the way we understand perspective maybe?
Yeah. That's why I add some like curved ceilings like that way, that people can perceive this space as more enlarged and more distorted space.
I'm kind of interested in your reference to also shifting perspective, and I think especially the shift from egocentric to allocentric that you reference. And I think there's also great social potential within that kind of shift, especially this as a kind of a public structure in a city like Hudson. And you know, it just leads me to ask, like, what can this as a device do on an individual perspective versus also like a collective shifting of perspective in that experience?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow I feel like the electromagnetic spectrum, which has this limited section of visible light, could have been more explored here. I think somehow the applied color for me doesn't really work.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like it cuts short what was happening in that image of the glowing change, of the polychromy that was changing like projected light, which would happen in a prismatic film or something. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that to me, what's happening here has a connection to the electromagnetic spectrum that I think it gets lost when you just paint concrete planes. I mean,
it would be interesting to capture that spectrum on a painted surface still.
Or with projected light.
Yeah, with projected light.
Reflected light.
Yes. you can still try that, Mary.
Mhm.
Because what you painted as green is not going to register as green anymore. And that shift may be very interesting.
I have a question too about, I appreciate all the conversation and I think this, the slide you were just at, the one video where it is sort of an elongated space. I think we're on Cherry Alley and I can imagine, you know, being drawn into this space. But maybe referencing back to an earlier question about what is inside and what is outside. And I'm wondering if there's ever moments of pause or relief within this experience, because I think that this is meant to activate, but then I also finding or searching for spaces of where I could rest or step away from this experience. And I wonder if that's part of the path or the process.
Mm, I think this is not just a like real circular path, but also the like resting and open spaces for rest for publics. I feel it's not that like distinct area between public and private, but more this can merge it into the like this ground descending, ascending, make this like moving through the ground. I don't know if it can be like answer of your questions, but I feel this is more not just distinct area of the rest and the like more public area, but it's like more enclosed by using the ceiling and this like circular and then the square spaces like that.
Maybe a series of kind of convergent and divergent experiences, right? Since you're working with this triangular geometry, and compress and decompress. Let's see how we can enrich the conversation moving on to the next presentation, okay?
Yeah, I'd love, could I just make, I wanted to sort of, this is so exciting for me being the filmmaker and sort of a little bit of an outsider in this discussion. I find, well, first of all, this is very exciting to me to see work that is spatial. So much that we see in architecture today is not spatial and is flat surfaces and is just cardboard, is flat. So it's wonderful to see something volumetric. I think that what excited me and what Stephen just said about the colors, I must say that it was interesting working in the IMAX format for me, because so much of the making an IMAX film was about learning to work with peripheral vision, what things you sense outside the center of the frame. There is this kind of centrality of filmmaking that is almost tyrannical, that we focus with a phobia of the eye just on what you're supposed to see, and we use the same language of wide shot, medium shot, close up to kind of force you to understand the storytelling in a very frontal way. And there's very little that happens peripherally. And of course, on the stage, there's always peripheral things happening. You're interested in watching the person who's off to the stage left or stage right or in the doorway that you barely notice. That's as interesting as what's happening in the center of the frame. That's not the case in most filmmaking. But making IMAX film really got me thinking about, okay, people look around the screen. They don't just focus on the center. They sense things outside their, in the area of view that is not really in focus. And people who have macular degeneration are dealing with this problem of having, peripheral things are really all they can experience. So I think you're onto something here, but I also, what Stephen was saying, I think is dead on, which is that the planes aren't giving me the sense really of anything peripheral. It's playing with my sense of scale, but it's not giving me this sense of the city being out there. What I liked about what you're saying is, it seems like you want to bring the feeling of the city and of different directions and different presences outside the visual central frame to us. You somehow want to bring those things to us constantly. I like that idea a lot. I think it gives a sense of sort of a personal experience, almost like walking into a chapel where you feel the sense of a stained glass window off to your right, and there's a projection coming through, and something interesting's happening, you know, outside. It keeps you interested. So to me, it feels like a lack of openings. You sort of suggest the possibility of openings that would bring light in, but they're not here. So I wonder if one might play more with the idea of what if you sort of look in this direction or that direction, and you kind of open the building in some way to what's out there, bringing light in through openings of some kind. I don't mean to suggest architectural solutions. That's your world. But I'm just saying, I think you talk about this presence of things outside of the visual field, but the architecture maybe isn't quite realizing that possibility that I think is nascent in your ideas, which I find very exciting and interesting.
Very cool. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guanming, thanks.
I would refer you to Paul Virilio's work with Claude Perrant. In '63, they formed a collaboration, and Virilio has written so many interesting books on architecture. But with Perrant, they worked on what they called the incline.
Yes.
So all the projects were parallelograms. Everything they did was about the incline. It's really interesting. So please do some research on Claude Perrant and Virilio. I saw an exhibition of the work in Paris about 10 years ago. It was pretty interesting. But they were obsessed with this trapezoidal incline as a spatial device that would change the world, so to speak. So it's something, the character of your geometry and the way you take on that whole square site has something to do historically with Claude Perrant and Virilio.
The oblique function.
The oblique function. Yes. Take a look at that. Okay, next.
Cool.
Next.
Ready for you, Guanming?
Okay, can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Guanming. I'm a MArch student at Cornell. And I'll start with a few sketches that I'm trying to show my idea to respond the site. So I guess my initial response or the intuition is that to just simply leave the ground or the center open. And the way that I draw these sketches essentially means these are pathways or trajectories of human activities. Let them circle or enclose a almost like an amphitheater space. And then as I keep experiencing these ideas, I realize if you look at the sketch on the right, if I use a solid curved wall on the ground level, and dash line means another wall at the second level, then you have this kind of condition where two walls at different levels intersecting with each other by taking advantage of the moment of wall. So in this way, I think it's almost like a device that tries to collect and generate a blurred or diffusing light effect that somehow, from my perspective, challenges the weight of the walls. So this is, maybe you can call it a party or method that I if I take that and apply it to my whole site strategy, it essentially becomes a field of walls at different levels. And then I trace these sketch models. Eventually, I got this little pavilion. So at the ground level, as you can tell, it's fully open, can be accessed from different directions. And the way the work occurs is means to form these kind of niche spaces where you can have outdoor seatings or open workshop spaces. And there's a gently sloping down amphitheater in the center. As you take either the ramps or stairs on both sides, you can get to the second level, which is an open gallery space. And on the top, you have a little auditorium and two roofs covering both the indoor and outdoor spaces. And you can get a more clear idea on the section. So as I mentioned, the first 2 floors are basically open to anyone. So you can take the ramp. Basically, this section speaks to the idea of maybe architecture promenade. The roof is meant to create this kind of gap spaces where you can let light from the north to directly pour into this atrium as well as the little auditorium. So on the section, as you can tell, the roof basically covers the amphitheater, block the south direct sunlight, and then the north sunlight will cascading down through these surfaces. Also, when the light hit on the ground and reflect on the ceiling, you can tell this kind of a gradient light effect, which is something that I mean to achieve both from, let's say, vertical dimension or horizontal dimension. And these are just a few images of the model. So the gradient effect both happens and appears on the curved wall as well as on the roof. Oops, sorry. This is a view from the street. Obviously, there's like a little shadow-ish space on the foreground, and in the center, you can see how the atrium works. There's a light field in the middle. Then I have a series of photographs, basically use the human eyes perspective to give you a sense of how to access this space. These 2 are both entrance. You can take the ramp, and you can also access through the amphitheater from the street. The idea, as I mentioned before, is really to create these kind of different layers of phenomenal or depths. You can have shadow on the foreground, light field in the middle, dark walls, and then the background you have like a bright background. You can also access this from the alley street, and this is where the kind of very deep roof is kind of almost like cascading down from the 3rd level to the ground level, cover almost like naturally become a canopy for the theater. And this is where you would maybe stand in the middle of the stairs leading to the second floor, which is an open gallery. Also, the idea of some different depths and spatial phenomena is played out. Here's like a section model without the roof, I have to say. And this wall, because it's facing the north, is also used as a projection screen. And finally, you arrive at the 3rd floor, which is the auditoriums. So the idea is really to take advantage of the gap between the vault and the solid wall, let the light pour in. And then when you look at the roof out there, there's also slightly very subtle light effect, almost suggesting there's another layer of space in between. So essentially creating this kind of roofs and canopies almost floating in the air, suspended by the light. And in the end, I guess over the 3 weeks, I explore different directions, but I always keep this phrase with me: the universe is real, but you can't say it, you have to imagine it. So I guess to me, in the cosmos, there are always, let's say, unknown phenomena waiting for us to explore, and relationships that inviting our imagination. And oftentimes these mysteries define, let's say, our maybe conventional understanding of knowledge. So what I'm trying to do in this design is to explain light does not necessarily need to be dazzling to be perceived. Things with weight can indeed appear lightness. And the question remains, in what way do we conceptualize their existence and correlation? And how might this mode of existence inspire us? So to conclude, I guess, I'm specifically looking at a metaphysical issue, which is the walls and the roofs can, or let's say they do not necessarily adhere to the principles of gravity, and they are suspended in this design by the effect of light, seemingly floating atop the soft diffuse illumination. Thank you.
Do you envision some educational activities being like digital projections on these walls? And if so, why didn't you show some image of the actual educational aspect of these spaces?
You mean to show the educational space on the second floor where I installed a projection screen?
But you don't indicate that in your presentation. It's all just space, curved space. I mean, I don't see where the educational aspect of the project is. I mean, you mention it, but why not dive in and show us how that would work?
Yeah.
How would it function?
To film it with projections happening at the same,
I
like, so
think-
film the model
Right,
with
but that might
projection.
make the
Yeah.
whole thing come alive.
Absolutely, yeah.
Could
Not
you go to
just
the very first image in your presentation? This image on the left for me is the strongest image in your presentation.
I agree.
And one reason is the way the light changes. I look into it, I'm drawn into it because it's glowing below, and I see this subtle curve happening. And then when I look to the right, the light's coming from below, it's glowing up. But the entire thing is in a kind of simplicity and I don't know, like proportional order that you lose when you go completely all over the place in a Baroque way with the geometry. This to me is a very beautiful page in your presentation. When I saw this, when you first started this presentation, I thought, wow, he really came a long way.
It's still complex. It still has.
Oh,
big
he's still
complexity.
agitating, he's still, Borromini is your best friend in your project, Borromini, okay? I like
Yeah.
Borromini.
For sure.
Frank Gehry loved Borromini. I went to all of Borromini's projects in Rome. They're quite beautiful.
Guanming, could you also go to the page where you show your first set? There's 2 images on it. It was like the first images of the final model.
These two.
No,
There's two.
keep going. Keep going. Yeah, this one, if you can zoom in on that. So for me, when I saw the image on the right, I felt like it had started to have some of the same characteristics as the first image on the page. And it may be that same sort of intersection of planes. We're just looking at it at a different view now that I don't know if that's the SIP base, but what I'm wondering is, and I think the idea of the suspended light you explored, and again, is there something else that occurs at, you said, these intersections, but I wonder if they are more overlaps because you're always trying to create space or maybe an experience at this moment. And then the light, changes with the curve, and sometimes it's a curved plane and a straight plane. But I'm also wondering, part of this is landscape and gardens, and like when you have a series of spaces, you also started your presentation talking about a field of walls. I think that you lost that, but I was excited about that idea. But I do think you have sort of an aggregation of different spaces. And I wonder if you could engage more haptics, like in certain, you come over here and the way that this sort of cone is above you, you start to smell, something certain that's maybe from the garden on the other side of the wall, or there's moments where you can look through, or if we're talking about a moment, does the texture of one of the planes of the intersecting planes change or become more aware and tactile at these intersections? So, again, I don't think that we've talked a lot about what is being, taught in these spaces or learned, but I could see it as just sort of this exploring, of a playground, but starting to smell or touch or sense or learn about your senses just by you providing that experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, and maybe to follow up on a few of the observations. Thank you for the presentation. I mean, you said some very beautiful things about levitation, about layers of depth. Maybe, you know, just to go back to the brief momentarily, you know, there's the question of education. So what is the nature of education in your project? That's been talked about. And there are two other very important components in the brief, I think. One is this idea of the public garden, right? And then the other is the structure of levitation, right? The pavilion being over the garden. And what's interesting about your project, and maybe the first one as well, we'll see with the other three, is there isn't a clear distinction between the ground for the public and the levitating pavilion above. It seems like there's a more ambiguous relationship between public ground and floating pavilion. And I think that's something that you should embrace. And to go back again to the image on the right, or the first image, those two images are really powerful because they capture the poetics of ambiguity in your project. So the long story short of what I'm saying is, at this point, I think if you took those two images, try to understand what they mean to that site and think more carefully about the question of education. Like, what is that specific thing that you're trying to offer to this public in that community? I think it will strengthen the project. I mean, it's very interesting. In seeing your mid-review a few weeks ago, I think you have come a long way, but there's still something that's more essential in your work that I think is there. So in your case, I think it's maybe less about adding things at this point. If you had another week, I wouldn't be adding, stripping away, and then strengthening the essential parts of your project.
Yeah, sometimes I kind of wonder, maybe it's better to simply make this like a 1-2 story without adding too much stuff. Just focus on this kind of a spaces and try to bring in my understanding of education and really create a field of both walls and educational programs.
I think, well, thanks for the presentation. It's really incredibly, I would say I appreciate probably the most how you carry over the project through initial sketch and then looking at these kind of, interlocking of a curved surface and stacking, vertically. And then I think, the difference I see between what is on this page and the very first image that is super powerful. Both are super powerful, but I would say as you're working with blurring or the disappearance of the seam between surfaces at different orientations, these kind of the first image illustrate the effect produced in this photo is super powerful in terms of your eyes is looking along the perspectival kind of direction. And you start to see the disappearance between the vertical and horizontal surface versus the curved views. If you go back to the previous page, previous slides, and we're looking at the two images, we're looking at essentially almost an inverse kind of relationship. The seam between the vertical curved surface and the horizontal plane is almost emphasized because there's a shadow line, right? So relating to what you concluded with this kind of, your overarching theme is essentially kind of this invisible real idea. I'm wondering how can we start to really turn these, what you can see, you have to imagine into something very tangible, which could be the problem of pursuing the disappearance of the seam between surfaces, and how that will start to inform the decision between the foreground and background, and what might be the case. In this case, I'm almost wishing that the background start to merge together, a little bit blurred to the center rather than the opposite way, so that there is a moment of imagination that we wanted to kind of wonder what is behind the focal point. But overall, I think I really appreciate how you carry through the initial idea so much in depth, so that the effects start to unfold, the multi-layer effects very well.
Thank you.
May I ask what is the material that, and you show this as white material here? Is this imagined as concrete, or is it something else? What is it? How would you build this thing? It reminds me of inhabitable sculpture. It's sort of halfway between architecture and sculpture, and you know, that's an interesting place to be. But one would like to see it all, you know, sort of one or the other a little bit, perhaps. But this, you know, this does seem like a long way towards sculpture to me. What is the material you imagine and the surfaces that you imagine for this?
I'm thinking definitely some kind of white paint with a certain kind of smoothness. That way you can create a kind of soft reflections.
And what would it be? So it would be concrete, poured concrete, reinforced concrete?
I assume concrete, but definitely a different strategy to deal with the surfaces.
So it would be smooth. It wouldn't be stone like. It would be more like almost like perfect white, like drywall almost in quality. So it'd be ambiguous.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You know what's interesting about the planetarium where I saw Nathaniel Kahn's Deep Sky? It's this gigantic dome, right? But when you turn the lights on behind it, it's all perforated, tiny perforations in white metal. And as a material, it was very fascinating because you think it's a big solid dome of a white, like concrete, but it's not. It's full of holes.
That's really interesting, Stephen. That's so. I remember that experience too, and seeing the dome space. And did you also feel in it there's this enormous ambiguity of distance and scale in those spaces? It's really weird. It feels both really big and really intimate.
When they turned the lights on behind the metal screen, it was kind of like a shock.
That's interesting. Perhaps interesting in the context of this, this project.
I would hate to say that this had to be all big planes of concrete because they'd get very heavy. You know, maybe there's some other kind of materiality that can be very, very light.
What's the feeling that you wanted to evoke for people being in this place? Does it change? Is it different on the first floor or second floor? What's the feeling you most want? Because you sort of hint at these mystical things. What is it that the feeling that you're after?
So this sounds I'm not sure if a cliche to associate this kind of light space with the enlightenment, with the let's say the nature of education. But I'm thinking, so if you work along this side, there's a field of light that almost that obviously suggests something. I think that's the kind of feeling that I'm trying to evoke.
I think that's beautiful. I mean, to me, the idea it sounds like it's so simplistic that it's really good. Enlightenment is enlightenment. There's something wonderful in that. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I think we need to move on with Christina's presentation next. Thank you so much, Connie. Yay.
Thank you.
Christina?
Yes, okay.
All right, there you go.
Yes, thank you. Hi, my name is Christina Sideraki, and I am a diploma student in the University of Patras, the School of Architecture, actually, in the University of Patras. So for me, the search for correlations and relations in space starts with the definition of the field as the space is being defined more by its speeds and functions than its own materiality. So for me, a field full of intensity is the playground, or even better, the field of a game. The field in Rhinebeck reminds me the non-built plots in Greece where the kids transform which the kids transform into fields of play with their fictional games where there are no material needs for those to become true. So the Greek traditional street games are composed by the creation of two teams, also spatially, and a common goal to reach out for something, a ball, another teammate, or a defined space in the field. Sometimes they create with a line in the soil, rooms and burrows to reach or get away from them. This kind of composition was important for me as for the creation of two poles, as the correlations of those will be created at the time when the game starts. So, and that for me, the correlation in this field are basically the negative space of the game. So I didn't lose any time and start trying to subtract the space of the game, the negative space of the game. And those were the first mock-ups, and I work with them with Fire. And actually I got some of the first photos that I could understand how this spatial could be transformed. So it ends up to be 4 big stereos that actually correlate the two poles. The one is going from the Cherry Alley, which is 3 meters above because of the ground, in difference with the Union Street. And they end up meeting at the center, where there is a free space where the game starts. So the something that I didn't say here is that the walls of the poles are the exhibition areas, and also the inside of those 4 stereo walls, you can go up and to the second level, which is also an exhibition area. As for the educational program, I think that the game itself is an educational program. So here you see the sections that I worked with, and here's the model. And I want to close my presentation with one of my hypotheses about the soundscape of my synthesis, because a cave has been created. Homo Ludens is not about kids playing, but mainly adults. So let's see the cave as the ideal megaphone for the area, the local area, where kids' laughs and voices work as the sirens that can actually charm the adults to play with them. Thank you. This was my presentation.
Thank you, Christina.
So how is the game played?
It starts from the poles. There are many different kinds of plays that actually the only rule is that you divide into teams. So it's free. It's free. There are many games that can be fictionally made and played in this area. I did not define exactly the rules.
I think that's the metaphor is really a good one, because, you know, I mean, like Le Corbusier said, to be creative, we need to learn how to play. We have to play and not have a priori idea of where we're going, but to play. And I'm trying to understand, I mean, I'm trying to understand how your project aspires to that, but then how does it actually, is there a way that we can think about it? And could you go to the plan? Right.
It looks like there are 2 poles, right? One from from the alley, one from the main street, and they become the way into an open field of play, which, if I understand correctly, there is the one that's almost like a plaza, slightly above the ground, and then there is a subterranean field of play between, like, kind of, yes, in between, the negative really space between those 2 cavities, right?
Yes, exactly. We have the 2 poles, so there are the 2 rooms basically of the teams, And then those two rooms come into relationship through the light and through the connection, the optical connection that is being created from the halls above. So the aim is to provoke those two teams to come into this free space. And what I thought it was really charming about the traditional street games, it was that there was nothing fixed. It was maybe a game created in 5 minutes, and only this free plot and how archetypical was it created everything. So I didn't want it to be specific, but to provoke a space of correlation, which was the free planning between these two poles.
Nice. This morning, my 8-year-old daughter and my 4-year-old son were playing mailman. I said, "What's going on?" And then they say, "Baba, where's your mailbox?" I said, "I guess it's over there on that chair." It's okay. Then they had these little bags, and they would put, I don't know, any kind of thing they could find in these bags, and then they would go around on their scooters and they would say, "You've got mail, Baba, you've got mail. Go get it." So it's like, right, they just make a game up out of nothing. Completely. I mean, and that's just like one example. So I think the openness is something I really like, the sort of, not to make a prescription, but to leave it open.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful story, and Christina, you came a long way also. I mean, I think the earlier studies of burning and erosion, I think, it's interesting that you got to this point. I mean, I guess that the only thing I would add on the notion of play, and the idea of the game, it's interesting because there are certain games that have clear rules and a definitive endpoint, some of it related to time, some of it related to the amount of points. But then there's other types of games which children often play, right, which have no endpoint other than exhaustion, and typically the exhaustion of an adult, right, not the children. So I think of games like hide and go seek, games like tag, which are probably the few things that can link almost any person from any culture, any generation. I mean, everybody probably knows something like hide and seek, right? I'm sure there's some version of that in every part of the world. And your project, in some very sophisticated way, reminds me of that. And I think, the one thing that I would offer maybe as a next step of helping to refine what you've gotten is to think, more carefully about context. And maybe this would be a suggestion for everyone. Given the amount of time, obviously, the focus is on the immediate 100 by 100 feet of the site, or 120 by 120 feet. But I think this question of the alley, right, versus the other points of entry into the site might help to really amplify the thesis that you put forward. But congratulations. You're a leap forward over 10 days. It's impressive.
Anthony, you know that site, right, Anthony?
Yeah, I've been there a number of times. So it's
because we did the building right next door. They don't know that because we never showed them that. So
we see it in person soon.
Right. It's a tiny live work 1,500 square foot house for Mark McDonald that we did in corrugated metal, and it sits on the right hand side. It's next door. Beautiful. So that'll be a shock for everybody.
Anthony, I love what you said about the specific games that we all played, and Stephen, the games that your children are playing. It makes me think that part of what's exciting about your concept here is that you are creating a stage on which so many different games could be played. And one wonders maybe if in kind of refining this, you might think about some of those specific games, not to program them, but just to allow spaces. For instance, when Anthony mentioned hide and seek, we think of the spaces that you need for hide and seek, and the alleyway comes to mind. And different, you need nooks and crannies and places to hide. So maybe that begins to generate more articulation to what you're doing. And then there are other games that need open space. And so you sort of think about maybe the space itself begins to become a little more defined by allowing the possibility for the variety of games that children play. And it just reminded me, as we were all talking about it, this great painting of Bruegel called Children's Games from, I can't recall the date of it, but it's this huge tableau of a painting that shows children. I actually had a puzzle. My mother got a puzzle of it when I was a kid. It had 1,500 pieces. I don't think we ever finished it because there were so many crazy things going on in this thing. It was almost an impossible puzzle. But if you look at that painting, you see how Bruegel observed the children doing all kinds of different things and represented that in a static work of art. You know, I mean, a painting doesn't move. It's not a movie. It's not a piece of architecture. But you think about how he did it, and then you think about how architecture has to do it, which is to set the stage. It's not peopling it yet, but it's imagining what people will do within it. And that's, I think that this is a very exciting project to me.
Fantastic. Yeah, the Bruegel painting is fantastic. And I also would quote William Shakespeare, all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. That's a like 300, 400-year-old game playing and stage setting. I think there's something timeless about trying to make this about play.
I think it's a really beautifully done project. I was initially drawn to these kind of correlation between, let's say, the concept of play to and the notion of the field of vectors. And I think your early conceptual models where you're looking at the foam and the burn capture physically some of those different forces, you know, leaving traces on material. So the field of vectors are imagined or are manifested in the final kind of, you know, the texture of the burn. But then, you know, I'm also glad that you did not take these just as a formal practice, but you start to translate the vector as a concept of, you know, how can we relate play to vectors? And, you know, essentially, I was imagining in your kind of plan diagram, there might be different kind of scale of engaged kind of, you know, play. Some might be all sort of different kinds. People are running across, physically traversing between the two posts, and then others might be more visual or kind of more subtle. So I think one of the question or you know, the kind of maybe to explore more kind of area of this project is to define some of the differences related to what we've done for the kind of field of vectors. I'm thinking about different scale of velocity, different scale of interaction. And I think you mentioned something about view and light. I'm thinking about stage as a particular kind of, you know, instrument that captures some of those in a very curated kind of, you know, setting. So if we're thinking about architecture inviting or initiating the act of playing rather than they come with intention, then I think the subtlety of light or kind of almost a stage of light and shadow might be a way to really pursue further. And then I think you started to touch upon some of those because I look at your plan, there is a kind of suggestion about thickness. And I'm wondering, and openings, so the contrast of the kind of the volumetric conditions are really well illustrated, indicated in those drawings. So I'm starting to imagine how we can start to really think about that as a potential that architecture start to initiate the act of play. Really beautiful project.
Thank you. I will try to answer because my English are not very good, so I think I have understand what I have to answer. The idea of the light and how it can combine, it can be used in play, is actually the rule of the time in the game, and in theory also. So the idea of having this, the way that it's cut, those 4 stereos are cutted is the way that the sun comes in. So a way to see the sun during the day is basically, for me, it was a clock, and actually one of the general rules that could not destroy this freeness, this freedom, but could work as a rule, which is time is a rule for the game. So I don't know if I'm answering what you said. Was the answer your question? Yes.
Good. Good. This is great. Great. Thank you so much, Christine.
I just wanted to add something here that sounds remarkable. This idea that, of course, the light, because different times of day, it's like a sundial, but it's also like, you know, when you go, what's so great about going to, say, a medieval city or something is you have all these little kind of openings and chinks of light that come through, you know, they come between buildings and come downstairs, and you have this kind of feeling of constantly being, you know, kind of your perceptions are constantly changing by the way the light is changing in a place like a medieval city. So, and that's a place that would inspire play. So it seems like you're back to, in a way, like the origins of architecture. What, you know, what is the purpose of, you know, what can architecture do if it can create a space or spaces which inspire play, you know, just because the spaces themselves are designed in such a way and they're interacting in such a way. And I'm hearing so many wonderful things, these words, like the way the light is, and what we've just heard about the mass, the actual sort of the structural qualities, the thickness of these places, all of this stuff, like these are solid architectural ideas. It makes me feel so impoverished being a filmmaker. I love your profession, what all of you do, because it, like, how exciting is that to be able to use these materials to create a space that would inspire children to play and offer them opportunities to play and remind them of the time of day. You know, that is, wow, that's like really exciting. That feels like it's touching on the soul of what architecture is. I don't know, you all are architects, you know, I'm just a filmmaker, but that seems really exciting to me.
That's great. Thank you so much, Nathaniel and Christina.
Thank you.
Moving on to Emily's presentation.
Emily, okay.
Hi, everyone.
Gerd, were you gonna say something? You're unmuted.
Oh, yes, of course. Gerd?
Yeah, so thanks for the presentation, and it was mainly one thing that catch my absolute attention. That was the dynamism, the movement. So because it leads to this question on a meta level, what is space? Is it something that already exists and has to be contained, or is it something that has to be created? And to speak with Kiesler, he would absolutely love the elasticity and the dynamism of the play and creating the space by movement. So that's not so much, it's more in addition to your conceptual approach than posing a question to your project. But I really loved your approach with this dynamism and elasticity of creating the spaces.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Emily is
Yes, you ready?
Yes, let me share my screen. So, hi everybody. My name's Emily. I am a practicing architectural designer based in New York City. I'm very excited to present my project to you all. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we're good to go. Thank you. Yes, great.
So, my project is titled Inhabiting the Shadow, and I want to quote in praise of shadows for this. In making of ourselves a place to live, we first spread a parasol, throw a shadow on the earth, and in the pale light of the shadow, we put together a house. So I started this project looking into Hudson as a context, and I found this particular landmark in the Hudson River interesting. It's a preserved Hudson Lighthouse from the 1800s. And I thought it was interesting because the sole purpose of the lighthouse is to connect travelers on boats to surrounding environments. So the lighthouse itself is undeniably a important link between an individual and the cosmos. So I thought about that, and the lighthouse connects land to sea, the subaquatic to buoyant, to the buoyant, the conscious to the subconscious, the below to the above. I researched a little bit into the lighthouse, and the top of the tower projects a concentrated stream of light that works as a signal for sailors to interpret. So it will have a rhythm of stop and flash that the sailors are able to interpret whether there's shallows nearby. And to project that really strong beam of light, the lighthouse uses a Fresnel lens. So I was intrigued in this device, and because it interacts with light, it correlates with light. So for my experiment, I work with the Fresnel lens and a light prism that that's the opposite of focusing light into one point. The glass prism disperses light. So I want to work with these two devices, apparatuses, and I want to show a video of the experiment I did. And please let me know if you're unable to. So I like that experiment because
Emily, if you have a Zoom window on your screen, move it a little bit away. Yes, move that away.
sorry about that.
Okay.
So I like that experiment
Maybe
because,
you can move that away too.
oh, sorry, say that again, please.
This one, yes, move it away. Thank you. If
I
you
don't-
can, that's fine.
I don't have a separate screen.
That's okay. You're good.
Sorry about that. So that experiment was surprising to me because the pattern was unpredictable and visually interesting. And thinking back to the lighthouse, interpreting light patterns is a way of learning and reflection. So I thought that was a thread I can pull towards the program of education.
Can you read Rilke's quote? This is too small to read, Emily.
Sorry about that. I like this quote. Rilke is quoted by Gaston Bachelard in The Poet of Space. It says, "The world is large, but in us, it is deep as the sea." So I'm thinking a lot about this role of self-reflection, or just the role of reflection in the process of learning and navigating. So then start to think architecturally, I was thinking a lot about the rotation of the Fresnel lens as I was doing the experiment, but also the rotation of the Earth, of the sun, and how shadows rotate as we rotate around the sun. And in order to project a shadow, I'm thinking a lot about if the sun projects light onto a surface, how to intercept that ray of light to project the shadow on the ground. So very quickly studies, I was making forms that were positive or negative, that would receive light or project shadows. And at times I was thinking about reflection and angles towards or away from the sun, or orientation. And then another point, I was fascinated by the refraction phenomena in that experiment, where light is shattered around and disperses. So I was thinking about how a shattered shape or disintegrated form can do that. But at this point in time, I've taken the position to kind of like the beginning quote, to throw a parasol over the earth, to throw a cloak over the site that projects a beam of shadow, but allows light to penetrate through in moments. So this cloak unites the front street and the back alley. In the front street, you can enter through a gentle slope, and in the back, it's a body of water. So towards this shadow of cone is oriented against or away from the sun. The south is oriented towards north, so that it creates as much shadow as possible. But these openings allow sun to come in and create unexpected patterns of light. So the experience of navigating the building is you start from the subterranean, subaquatic space. From the street, you navigate through a ramp down to the bottom level, and a little stairs takes you above waters to the ground that is parallel to the higher alley in the back. And I mean, so far on this elevated level above waters, there's a skylight or oculus that allows light through down to that floor. But I'm also thinking of this maybe as a platform to stand upon, to nearer towards the sun and observe. So these are the views from street level, from the more populous side of the street. Inside the space, inside the main, in the lowest level, the subaquatic space, water reflects light through this pond and bounces above to above head. Lastly, I have a last little video showing the spatial experience in a more temporal.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you. Maybe I can stop sharing. Is that okay?
Could you put up the image, the paired image that happened like 2 slides before you showed the video, where you have the water reflecting on the inside?
Sure. Is it this one?
Yes. That's my favorite image in the whole presentation, because this notion that there's a landscape of water. I don't know what the site plan looks like. Must be a big kind of water garden, water pond in the landscape. But then the fact that the sun, because it's on the south side, the angle of the sun then brings those ripples of water into this space. That to me is very moving. I wonder what the educational program would be. I mean, did you do anything in that regard?
I think I had a lot of ideas. I thought about a solar observatory. I've also thought about a planetarium at one point, but I think the design has shifted slowly and slowly, so I'm not entirely settled on those. But one thing that I've been thinking about is the library, because of the ambience I'm envisioning the space as well as the environment.
We were talking also about the idea of observation or deep observation as a truly educational tool. And so the idea that there is some phenomena that we observe, same as play, like the freedom of play, or the concentrated and deep observation as a way of learning.
I love that. I think this is a very beautiful project, partly because I think that so many times we think of education as needing to be programmed and as having specific sort of, it has to be, you have to come out of it learning something, or, knowing something specific. But in so many ways, a space like this within a city like Hudson would be a gathering place. People would go there just to experience the light. As Stephen has said, reflecting off the water, that alone, coming from your inspiration of the lighthouse in the middle of the water there's something sort of lonely about it. There's something very human about it and fragile about it. You think of, us human beings, we're just trying to, navigate through the dangerous waters of life. And that's the Rilke quote too, that you bring in. This idea that, we need a place to pause and just kind of experience light, water, space, within a city like Hudson. I think this would be a really important destination. It feels like a place where it's so interesting. It's not a very big site, and you can try to cram everything into it and all these different functions and everything, or you strip it back and just do one thing and do it well. And to me, this project is about that. And I must say, I love that.
Thank you.
Well said. I was thinking also of my time. I always go back to Rome, and what I love about Rome is noisy city, but you go into these churches, they're always open, the doors are open, and there's absolute silence, just a place of reflection. You don't have to be a Christian, you don't have to be part of that congregation. It's just a space of light and calm. And I think that actually is a kind of public service to make a space like that. It would be a garden as well. I mean, I think you should finish the site plan and show us how big the garden is and how the water works, and just complete the project. I think it is quite good.
She does have a site plan, which is more like a spaceship right now. It's rendered in this lunar light. You can pull this up again, but it's stretching across the site and divides in a way in 2 halves. You can put it up again quickly if you like.
Sorry, I can't figure out how to share screen and look at everyone.
That's okay. Yeah, maybe maybe Maddie, you can share it.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of opportunity in the site because the south water obviously benefits the space, but so far the garden or the path and the building kind of separates these two bodies of waters, and the northern water is not as utilized as it could be. So I think I was excited about solving some of these other problems in the same time.
Okay, one more.
One more presentation.
We have one more
Yes.
presentation from Bozeman,
Amazing.
Montana, right?
Boise, Idaho.
Boise, Idaho, close. Well, we
Wow.
have, we've got Gainesville, Florida, and we got Boise, Idaho, and we have Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee. I think we're doing pretty good.
And Athens. Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you.
Great work. Yes, amazing.
All right. Hi, my name is Mason Miles. I'm currently an MArch student at the University of Idaho in Boise. And my project is Trace Reference of the Past. So beginning the project, I was kind of looking at particular light qualities, diaphanous light, a sense of kind of airiness, as well as the X-ray, and how X-rays themselves also carry this diaphanous quality along with all the structural elements that go along with that. And beginning to tie this back into the site in Hudson, I began looking at the Laurentide ice sheet and the process of glacial recession, looking at the micromorphology of the silt and all of the water features that come along with that. So trying to amalgamate and get all these ideas kind of glued together lended itself to the X-ray of glacial form. And moving from there, these were kind of some initial sketches, just getting my mind loose, getting my mind free. The drawing on the right kind of lending itself towards this process of glacial recession and sectional quality. And then I moved on to these paintings, again, trying to, weed out or figure out this diaphanous quality amongst massings. And from there, I kind of went down the road of creating like a micro process of a glacier in a way of this chunking and carving and melting of ice and scanning them and passing light through them to, I guess, see what qualities it has. Then I kind of took these images and transposed them on each other, just as an exploration with no particular outcome in mind. The image on the left kind of lending itself more towards a particular site plan, and the image on the right potentially a partie for the pavilion, which you can kind of see in that top right image, where those geometries are coming from. So moving from there, I began trying to, I guess, achieve this X-ray formality in the 3D volumetric study, and then kind of some conceptual drawings based off those, and then expanding this and beginning to subtract and condense and unify these forms. Going through this process, I was feeling a little strained, I guess, or maybe caught in formalism and I felt kind of trapped in a way. So I kind of let that go, but kept it at the same time. So this was kind of just a loosening of the mind again, trying to get away from the rigidity of the previous forms. Here's a section of the project, or not a section, a floor plan of the project, beginning to kind of dice out the plan and the site, and all the relationships amongst each other. And this is kind of a process of exploring light qualities within the spatial relationships within the building, a procession throughout a day, I guess you could say. And I think a big thing that has been on my mind throughout this process is this idea of kind of lingering time, this kind of essence of something that doesn't really stop. Yeah, I don't know. Still thinking about that. But these kind of forms, I don't know. Still a lot on my mind. So, and this is kind of a site plan daylighting study of the final, not the final, but the current iteration of the project. This is kind of where I'm at the moment. I still want to keep working on this thing, keep trying to figure this thing out, but
can you go back in the presentation before you started to use the cardboard model? You were still in the sort of translucent, right? And maybe one or two before that, right? And that kind of, that sort of notion of this semi-translucent materiality gets lost when you turn it into a cardboard model. And I think it was, for me, that was like essential. I mean, when you put up those X-ray images in the very early moment, I thought that, you know, somehow, right, if we could just think of a materiality that could bring that to bear. And I thought of cast glass or different kinds of sandblasted glass or layered glass. And when you go to the next couple ones there, right. I think the key to to developing what you started out with, the inspirations of what you started out with, is in the materiality. And I don't think a cardboard model really works for this.
Yeah.
You have to use something else, or different.
Or translucent.
Yeah.
yeah, I think doing these models,
That's right there before the ice. What is that? Glycerin?
yeah,
You should stay with glycerin and make the whole project out of glycerin.
You didn't include those mentioned in your final presentation. You had some glycerin models where you were trying to get in, right? I think the challenge was to get interior photographs of the glycerin model, and so you had some that were still very premature, very blurry looking in some ways. You should include them back, okay? But that the challenge, I think, was to work with glycerin and then curving and shaping space the way with more precision.
yeah, and I think with how heavy the mass is, it was really hard to get inside because it's kind of just one solid object in a way. And so I think that's where I kind of felt confined, is just this inability to really get inside it unless it was quite large.
No, it reminds me of a very beautiful project that was never realized that Lou Kahn did for the 6 million, the Holocaust Memorial in Manhattan, which was made out of very gigantic cast glass blocks. and it has this power of being solid but not solid. You could feel that translucency of these elements. And I think you can build in glass block, you could build things, and I think of Maison de Verre by Pierre Chareau, that whole wall of glass block. There's a solidity, there's a translucency, I think the key to your project is in the materiality, experiments in the materiality.
This one, or this the monument to light?
Right.
Here, or is that the one?
That's Lucan's project.
And this is the monument to.
It's a monument to 6 million Jews, so
Yeah.
6 million Holocaust memorial.
It's
And
such
actually,
Yeah.
it's so interesting. I have a not it's just an aside, but just as a memory of that as a little boy, he was playing with those materials and going to visit the Corning glass people up in Corning, New York, trying to figure out he wanted them to be these monolithic pieces of glass, which they ended up saying, well, we can't do that, sorry. But he was looking at what could be done with specially cast blocks of glass that were not sort of like a concrete block scale, but more these very long sort of pieces of rectangles of glass,
right,
that could be put together, and thinking about the material. And it's so wonderful you bring that project up, Stephen. The memorial at the scale of it, to give you a sense of it, the memorial out at Roosevelt Island, it was done in, it's of course granite blocks. That's the scale of the glass blocks that he was after. But I'm sure nowadays there are materials, as you're saying, different kinds of glass that could be used.
Right.
I was so excited about what you're doing, because you said this thing where you got most furrowed, your brow got most furrowed, where you said you were thinking about the persistence of time or something like that, and this kind of time thing. And I loved what you were saying about the ice sheet and this kind of sense of architecture and time, and how you're able to somehow evoke that. And this is an educational thing that's going once again towards everything that I've heard from all of these wonderful projects, is this kind of almost discomfort with normative educational program. It's like, what are we going to be teaching our kids? Can't we just allow them to learn how to play, on their own? Can't we, but the same thing, but here is an educational program that actually is maybe evoked, as Stephen is saying, in the materiality, in those X-ray pictures, and in this glycerin, and in the possibilities of glass, this sense of slow moving glaciers. If you're beginning to create a building that actually gives you a feeling for different timescales than the very brief human timescale that we have, which architecture of course can do, again, that's pretty exciting. That feels like something you're really contending with in your work. And to me, that's like, you're really onto something with that.
Yeah.
I have a question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Anthony.
Please, go ahead.
Just following up on some of this conversation, starting with the X-rays, it is a layers of things, right? The X-rays allow us to see objects or elements that are already there, but layered, right? And then in some of your other, looking at the glaciers, or moving to water, it's this idea that some of it is less clear than others. So there's a murkiness or a shadow, but it's still sort of just one object with different behaviors. But as a glacier melts, it's sort of, I guess, the poetry behind it would be what it's revealing something behind it. So I think maybe the struggle for me, where I don't think you've resolved yourself, is this, as Stephen was talking about, this glass block that maybe has something embedded in it, like is the architecture itself this layer thing, or is the architecture sort of a screen, if you will, that is murky and revealing or hinting at something happening behind it? So I think in one instance they're separated, right? And in one instance they're the same. And I think your examples are showing us both examples, and it's not clear to me which path you're interested in, and that might help, you sort of guide your process.
Yeah, I think these are beautiful observations, and I'm so glad that the conversation came back to this image or these images. I was gonna recommend, Mason, when you do come to Rhinebeck, to go visit the Corning Museum of Glass, but it's about 3 hours and 41 minutes from Rhinebeck, so maybe on another trip. But I think this is brilliant observations, and maybe the only thing I can really add to here is that I also think there's something quite precise in the scale of these images, mainly the three on the left, to the actual site. I mean, if you don't have to go back to the paper models, but there were a lot of moves that you started making, right? A lot of shards and gestures and lines, which seems probably more appropriate for a much bigger site. Given the relatively small dimension of this site, it seems like fewer gestures, maybe 1, 2, 3 things would be sufficient, like you're stating in these images. But one other reference that I'd like to make to you, going back to the brief and the early presentation of the project, is I'm almost reminded of a kind of 21st century answer to Kiesler's Endless House. And you might want to look at, if you haven't already, those beautiful photos of Kiesler inside of the model, right? When you mentioned the problem of trying to get inside, sometimes you have to invent a way of discovering a problem or playing through a problem. And this would probably require a much longer amount of time, but this is a project that you could work on, like all of the projects, for years, if not decades. So I would recommend you look at those, if you haven't seen them already, the photos of Kiesler inside of the Endless House and making it. And this seems very much like it's an architecture of the membrane, maybe as much as it is about discrete components or blocks or parts. So I just wanted to offer that to you as a response to your project.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony. I'm glad you brought up time relative to making a project, because I just came back from Ostrava, where we have a groundbreaking of our concert hall that I've been working on for 6 years already. And now we're just starting to, this construction is going to take at least 3 years. So that means this type of a studio is it's just a little teasing moment. And I hope that the students could take some of these ideas and move them forward later on in different ways and different thoughts. And that's the nature of the project. I think, when I think about Kiesler and his correlational charts, by the way, they were run at Columbia University in 1947, where we teach at Columbia. The School of Architecture had Kiesler teaching there, and that's when he made these big charts, the correlational charts that were rolled out as big as this table here in our conference room. And I'm thinking, this problem of time, and yeah, this is just a couple of weeks of thought. And I think all of the projects are like, seed germs for something that could go beyond, something much longer in terms of its duration and its study. And I hope they would, each of the students will take some of this and move it forward in different ways. Any concluding remarks from all the other? I see it's 12:50. I was hoping we would be done.
Yes, we're a bit 20 minutes over our break, something, but yeah. Any concluding remarks?
I just want to say congratulate everybody. It was really incredible set of work.
Yeah, I echo Caddy's comments. I really enjoyed taking a break from what I've been up to and stepping in this space for a couple hours, and everybody sharing their great ideas and their great responses. It was great to be part of.
Congratulations, a tremendous amount of work in a short period of time, and I'm sure the month or so that you spent together will be transformative, and it's great to see previous participants in the review today. I think that's a testament to how transformative this experience will be for you guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so if I may join, congratulations to your projects, and perhaps we were so much talking about the educational program. Perhaps it is perception of space or something like this, of a spectacular space. Perhaps that would be a solution for the educational project. But thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. This was incredibly inspiring for me. I rarely get an opportunity to be with so many talented people in such a, for 2 hours. This has really been wonderful. You've opened my mind to so many things, and I'm not worried about the future of the architectural profession with all of you coming forward. It's very exciting. I'm very inspired by everything I've seen. Gives me hope for the future. We need that right now.
Nathaniel, we're really happy to have you. I'm so amazed of your foresight and optimism, and be able to span from science. You're really a scientist now, back to architecture again.
Just a filmmaker. I listen to all of you talented people and try to turn it into something. You've given me a lot to think about today. It's very exciting. We should talk more. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Okay. Good day.
If you'd like to stay on for the residents, maybe we can briefly catch up on a couple of things before you take a plane and arrive in New York. And so we can do that. And Yaya and Lafina, if you'd like to stay on, please do, and we can chat a little bit, okay? Thank you. We can
Bye,
certainly
everyone.
stop recording.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.